Hello everybody, I'm John, this is JP Strategic Investments, and today I'm going to do an in-depth analysis of Patriot One Technologies versus Evolv Technology. The first thing I'll do is walk through a couple of their main products, then I'll get into their financials, the valuation, and I'll talk about which stock I think is a better buy. So if we look at their main products, basically for Patriot One, we're looking at the Multi-Sensor Gateway 1.0 or the MSG 1.0, and for Evolv, they have the Evolv Express. Now, for any of you guys that are unfamiliar with these products or these companies, basically what each of these products offers is a better solution than your standard metal detector that you might walk through at a stadium, arena, or even a hotel, casino, or school. The main value proposition for these products is that you don't actually have to take anything out of your pockets. You don't have to put it in the bin, walk through, and then grab it, and all of that process there. You can just walk right through, and these systems will differentiate between weapons and harmless things like keys, phone, wallet, etc. So let's take a look at each of these products and see how they compare against each other. So for Patriot One, we have the Multi-Sensor Gateway 1.0, or the MSG. Now the MSG can look like the two black towers like you see above me, or to my right, we have a little more dressed up, a little more aesthetic version with a potted plant look. You can actually put a variety of different wraps on this product. If you want to make sure people know that it's a weapon detection system, you can actually have something like that written on the side of it. They can do a variety of other things, including actually put this system concealed in the walls of your building or arena or whatever you have. So one of the advantages of this system is it's a little more, or it has the ability to be a little more covert in its weapons detection, which is one thing that Evolv's product doesn't have. You know, it has that look and feel of your standard metal detector, whereas this can kind of blend into the environment. So that's an advantage there. Another advantage of this product is that it not only can detect handguns, rifles, some explosives and bombs and things like that, but it also can detect large tactical knives all the way down to small pocket knives, Swiss Army knives, and multi-tools and things like that. So you can keep a wide range of weapons out of whatever venue you're trying to protect. Now, as far as how the system actually works, this system is actually integrated into your existing security camera system. And then what it does when someone triggers an alert is you will see an image like the one to my right here with a red circle around wherever the threat was detected. So if the person is carrying the weapon in their right pocket, the circle will be around that. If it's somewhere in their hand, down at their ankle, whatever, the red circle will show wherever you need to search. And this alert image can be sent to either your security operations center, or it can be sent to an iPad or something like that, where the security guard is sitting right there with the tablet and can pull the person aside and say, "Excuse me, sir, can I see what's in your right pocket?" or something like that. So it's very easy to integrate right directly into your system, and then it shows you exactly where you need to search, so it makes it easy for security guards like that. Now, another big advantage of this system being integrated directly into your existing security cameras is that this system can actually track a person across multiple cameras after they've triggered an alert using facial recognition or other identifying features like the color of their jacket and things like that. So if you're a venue where you maybe don't have a security guard or you don't have the ability to station a security guard right there at the entrance when people walk through, this gives you the nice ability to safely track the person throughout your venue, safely deploy your security personnel, and take care of any threat that there might be easily and efficiently. Now, the last main thing that I want to point out with this product is that because it's comprised of two separate towers, you have the ability to adjust the distance between those two towers up to 4.5 feet or so. That means that if you have, let's say, an elevator door that's maybe larger than your standard door that you want to secure, maybe you're securing a specific floor on the building, and you have these two towers stationed right outside the elevator door, you can do that. Or if you have a larger archway that people are walking through, say you're in an older theater, you can place these two towers so that it doesn't obstruct the walkway that you currently have. It has the ability to fit much better into a variety of different areas and spaces than something like Evolv's product where it's just a set distance. So speaking of Evolv's product, let's get into what they have, and that is the Evolv Express. Now, there are obviously several major differences between Evolv's product and Patriot One's product. The first being that this does have kind of the look and feel of your standard metal detector, right? Now, if you notice also on the top here, right up here, the circle here, here, and here, and here, those are the cameras that are integrated directly into the system. So this system is not using your existing security cameras, it's using its own cameras, and its system is entirely enclosed within itself. So that means that it doesn't actually have the ability, like the MSG, to track someone through the venue after they've already triggered an alert. You kind of have to catch them right there. Now, one thing that the Evolv Express has that the MSG currently doesn't have is kind of some lights right underneath here in the cameras. And basically what those will do is turn red when someone walks through and triggers an alert. Now, you do get an image similar to Patriot One's product where it shows the kind of container box around where the alert was detected. But I think it's a nice touch, makes it a little easier probably on a security guard who's just watching multiple people walk through to just get that red light, green light. Then they can look down at the camera, see maybe where they should, ask the person to empty their pocket or look in their hand, something like that. So it is kind of a nice touch right there. Now, another thing that this system has that the MSG currently doesn't have as well is that this system is portable. So it does have some wheels underneath that you can apparently undo and lift down, and then you can roll this system around. Now, it is a pretty large system. You can also do one thing I forgot to mention. You can do a single lane with this as well. It's shown in the double lane, but you can do a single lane. Either way, you can kind of roll it around. Obviously, you probably can't go upstairs or do anything like that, but it is nice to have that ability to kind of be able to easily move it around in case you want to do, different security at different areas for maybe different events within the same venue. So it's definitely a nice thing to have. Now, the major disadvantage that the Evolv Express has is it doesn't do well detecting small knives. So pretty much anything with a blade under 4 inches or so, which really is any, small pocket knife, Swiss Army knife, even your medium-sized pocket knives really have a blade that's smaller than 4 inches. So this system is really only going to detect your large tactical knives, things like that. And so it's definitely a disadvantage in comparison to the MSG. So now let's kind of take a look at like a head-to-head comparison with the major categories that we're looking at here. So gun detection, they both do pretty much about the same. They both detect guns well, so kind of an even comparison there. Knife detection, the MSG has a clear advantage because it has the ability to detect all the way down to very small pocket knives, Swiss Army knives, things like that. Whereas with the Evolv Express, you're pretty much only going to catch larger tactical knives. As far as the adjustability of the gate width, Patriot One's MSG also has a clear advantage here. You can adjust the width of those towers all the way up to 4.5 feet. With the Evolv Express, if we go back here, that is a 4-foot distance between those two towers, and actually even a little bit smaller at the base there because it sticks out. And that distance is a set distance. You can't adjust it. So you're kind of locked in with whatever size you have there, and it really doesn't have the ability like the MSG to be adjusted to kind of fit different scenarios and different openings and things like that. So adjustability definitely goes to the MSG. Portability, though, goes to Evolv Express. Evolv Express has the wheels, it can be kind of rolled around. Patriot One's MSG is currently not portable. As far as the covertness, concealability, aesthetics of the product, the MSG definitely has the advantage here. It can be wrapped up in a variety of different things, concealed even within the walls or as sort of a potted plant, things like that. So definitely an advantage there to the MSG. As far as the ability to be integrated into the existing security cameras, again, the advantage here is to the MSG. That not only allows for wider camera angles that you normally have from cameras that are farther away to see exactly what's going on when people are walking through, but that huge advantage of being able to track people using facial recognition and things like that once they've detected an alert, that is a big advantage, especially for venues that don't have the ability to set a security guard right there at the entrance. And finally, as far as a deterrent, because the MSG can be wrapped up in a variety of things, it can also have a large lettering saying weapons detection system. It does have the ability to be a deterrent just like the Evolv Express. You could say that the Evolv Express does have a slight advantage there because it is larger. It does have that more feel of a metal detector, but I would say it's about even, maybe a slight advantage to the Evolv Express. Now, those are the main products. Let's take a look at some of the other things that each of these companies has to offer, and I'll start with Evolv here. So along with the Evolv Express, Evolv also has the Evolv Edge, and the Evolv Edge just has a little bit more detection capability, but it's definitely much slower than the Evolv Express. The Evolv Express, as well as the MSG, both of those platforms pretty much advertise that you can really just walk right through single file. You're not having to meter people. With this system, you're probably having to do something similar to maybe what you see at an airport, not when you have to walk through the ones that kind of go around you, but more of the simple ones where you have a person there saying, okay, stop, you can walk through, stop for a second, make sure they're good, okay, you're good, you can walk through, that kind of thing. You still don't have to take everything out of your pockets, but it is a slower experience. The advantage here that it says is it does detect some non-metallic items. It really doesn't go into detail as far as what that is, but apparently it can detect some non-metallic items. Maybe, I guess, ceramics or something like that. It's really hard to tell from what they have on their website, but looks like a little higher sensitivity version, a little bit slower of a version than the Evolv Express. Now, what Patriot One has to offer is the VRS, and specifically here, the VRSW. Basically, what VRS is it's a software that can be added to any existing security camera system that gives it the ability to visually detect weapons, including handguns, rifles, some explosives. It also can detect any suspicious behavior. It can detect disturbances like fights and things like that. And it can also even do crowd counting and traffic flow analytics and things like that. So this system is really nice because it gives venues like schools, stadiums, and a variety of other venues the ability to kind of push their security line a little bit out farther, even further than the perimeter of their building. You know, when people walk through the Evolv Express and the MSG, at that point, they're really already at your gates and pretty much inside your venue. This gives these venues the ability to kind of detect and even stop threats before they even get inside the venue. And a great example of this is if you have this system actually integrated into the security system of your building. This system, once it detects someone with a weapon outside of your building, can actually automatically lock the doors of your building, and it can alert the police. So as you see here, we have a lockdown warning issued, and it's already called 911 right when it detects that alert. You know, you've seen some of these shootings where people have, drawn their gun, walked through a parking lot of whatever venue it is, and then started shooting, and their gun is drawn for 20, 30, 40 seconds before really any damage is done and before they even enter whatever venue it is. With this system, it can actually detect weapons up to 75 feet or so, depending on the resolution of the security cameras. So this system gives you that ability to really detect and even stop threats before anything has happened, before it even gets inside your venue, and it much more quickly alerts the authorities, locks down the building, things like that. So this is a huge advantage again for venues to be able to really push that security front farther outside their doors to really stop threats from even coming into their venue. And as I mentioned before, aside from its threat detection capabilities, this software also has the ability to do things like crowd counting and traffic flow analytics. So it can actually count, using the existing security cameras, the amount of people that are in a given area. It can tell how long lines are. So if you have, let's say, a stadium and you have a variety of different concessions, you have bathrooms, you have different stores, you can look at all of the lines throughout the duration of a game, see where maybe there are congestions and things like that, and it can actually help you better deploy your employees. It can tell you maybe if you should move around different concessions to different parts of the stadium to make the traffic flow easier for customers, and really help you improve that customer experience, not only from a threat detection standpoint, but also from these crowd counting and traffic flow analytics. So now that we've seen the other products that these companies have to offer, let's take a look at kind of a comprehensive solution comparison between the two companies. So just like before, we have the gun detection, knife detection, adjustable gate width, portability, covertness, existing camera integration, and the deterrent factor. But now you add on the ability for Patriot One using cameras to detect weapons, to detect disturbances and fights, suspicious activity, as well as doing the crowd counting and traffic flow analytics, we can see here that I think it's a clear advantage to Patriot One as an overall comprehensive threat solution versus Evolv Technology. Now, one more thing that I do want to add as far as this comparison goes is in regards to the DHS Safety Act. Some of you guys may be familiar with it. Basically, in a nutshell, what it is let's say a stadium, something happens at a stadium, an act of terrorism like a shooting, a bombing, something like that. If the stadium has met the standards laid out in the DHS Safety Act, they're using approved technologies and everything like that, the government will actually cover most of the damages, the monetary damages, whether that be the actual damages to the stadium or settlements or anything like that, that is a result of that event. The government will cover most of the costs of that. So there's a big incentive for these stadiums and other venues to meet those standards of the DHS Safety Act so that if something does happen, they're not on the hook for what could be hundreds of millions, if not sometimes, depending on the event, billions of dollars in damages that they could have to pay out. And one of the things that's talked about in the DHS Safety Act, as well as some of the best practices that are put out by some of the major pro sports leagues out there, is the detection of knives. And so that is a big issue. And so both of these companies are working on getting their technology approved under that act. But Patriot One is going to have a big advantage there with their ability to detect especially those small knives, anything under 4 inches, which is very likely going to be required by a lot of these stadiums. So that's another big advantage there for Patriot One. And I think we've seen basically, as far as this whole comparison and the technology, Patriot One has a big advantage with MSG and the VRS. Now, from a stock standpoint, if we're looking at it as an investment, we also have to take into account the financials of the company and some other things, including the valuation, that are going to help us make our decision as far as which stock is a better buy. So that's kind of what I want to look at now. And the first thing that I want to talk about here is Evolv's customer base. So Evolv does have an advantage here. They have a bit of a head start because they've already started to grow their customer base, whereas Patriot One really has only signed a few contracts that we know about so far. So you can see here there are some big names. We have the Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox, Wynn Resorts, Uber. Let me get myself off the screen so you can see the rest of these, the Department of Defense. But a lot of these names, I do want to make sure that you guys are aware. For example, I know for a fact the Wynn Resorts placement is only at the employee entrance right now. A lot of these companies, it's not an entire solution for them. You can see the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago White Sox, because Evolv's technology is not approved yet under the DHS Safety Act, as I mentioned before. They're probably not looking at entire solutions there. Probably very similar thing that we're looking at with Wynn Resorts, maybe testing it out at 1 or 2 entrances, something like that, so that they can work on getting their approval. So I do want to make sure that that is something that people are aware of, but still, you know, a pretty decent head start as far as building the customer base that Evolv does have here. Now, as far as Patriot One, on the upside for Patriot One, they do have Extract AI, which is a wholly owned subsidiary. And this subsidiary is an AI company that they do use to improve the AI within their security products and things like that. But this company also just helps a variety of other companies with their AI. Basically, it makes going through data, whether that data be text, images, video, social media, different online content and things like that, and basically helping them churn through that data much more quickly, much more efficiently, using their AI and analytics and things like that. So this company alone, just in the next 2 years, is going to bring in close to 2.2 million. This is Canadian dollars, just so you guys know. So closer to probably like 1.9 million, 1.8 million US dollars, but already bringing in a pretty significant amount of revenue there and expected to continue to grow. So that's definitely an advantage that Patriot One has with Extract AI. Now, when looking at these companies, when looking at their revenue and kind of comparing that, it is kind of hard to do a comparison right now because both of these companies are growing very quickly. You know, the revenue that we see now could change drastically in the next quarter. But as far as both of their revenue right now, I just do want to note Patriot One, both of these companies actually, they do use a subscription model. Patriot One is a 3-year subscription, and then obviously there's an auto renew every year as long as the customer is happy. Evolv uses a 4-year subscription, and same thing, with the auto renew. Evolv, though, they do require the customers to pay the first entire year up front in an effort to kind of recoup their costs for the products and things like that. And you kind of see that laid out in their revenue. So because of that, because they're kind of pulling forward a lot of revenue, it makes it even harder to really compare the financials. So for that reason, I've decided not to really do a comparison of the financials, because it's hard to compare those two models, as well as the fact that the revenue is changing drastically because of the rate of growth of both of these companies. So if you guys want to take a look at the financials, things like that, you can go look at them on your own. But that's the reason I kind of decided not to do that direct comparison there, because it's really hard to do that right now. Now, one thing I do think is important to compare is the valuation of these two companies. So with Patriot One, you're looking at only a $57 million market cap, whereas with Evolv, they have a $1.75 billion market cap currently when I'm recording this video. So Evolv is valued at basically 30 times the amount of Patriot One. So just from a pure valuation perspective here, if both of these companies are able to be successful and bring in a lot of revenue, from a valuation perspective, Patriot One's is looking a little more attractive than Evolv's valuation there. So that's one thing I wanted to mention here. But as far as the financials, as far as the valuation, Patriot One, like I just said, probably looking at a better price to sales ratio right there, even though Evolv does have a little bit more revenue coming in right now. And they also have a larger total addressable market with VRS, offering the ability for an entire different market that Evolv doesn't have the ability to enter, and probably won't enter, especially because they have those cameras integrated into their system. They've made it kind of an entirely enclosed system, whereas Patriot One is looking at more of the complete integration within the venue and within other systems kind of approach, which is allowing them for a much larger total addressable market, a lot more room for growth. And especially that VRS market, it's going to be a very high margin market because it's software installation, right? It's like a download. It doesn't take a lot to install that into a system, and so it's going to be a very high margin product there. On the other hand, though, Evolv does have a stronger customer base at the moment, and they have more revenue coming in as well. Now, the other thing that they do have, because of their recent SPAC merger, is a stronger balance sheet, because they've got they were able to kind of get some money from that type of offering, that type of SPAC merger there, to kind of strengthen their balance sheet there. So that is an advantage that Evolv does have. So looking at these companies as a whole, looking at the products, how they compare, looking at the financials, the valuation, things like that, which stock is a better buy? In my opinion, it's got to be Patriot One Technologies. First of all, the knife detection I think is huge. Some people might say, you can't do a lot of damage with a knife, especially with what the DHS Safety Act is looking like, those best practices, and just what venues are going to want, more security. The knife detection is going to be a big thing, especially even for venues like schools and things like that. They definitely don't want knives into those venues. So that, I think, is a big thing there. The other big thing is VRS. Adding that ability to push out that security front, giving that extra layer of security with the VRS, the ability to detect weapons, to detect disturbances like fights, along with the crowd counting and traffic flow analytics, things like that, I think is a huge advantage. And the fact that it can also be seamlessly kind of integrated with the MSG platform and they can work really well together, I think is a huge advantage there. Add on top of that extract, which is already a large source of revenue and is going to, it looks like it's going to be an even larger source of revenue. And then just overall the larger total addressable market. One, because of VRS, because it allows them, that video surveillance kind of market that Evolv doesn't have access to right now, and also because of kind of the approach that Patriot One is using, where it's an approach of being able to be integrated into a variety of different systems, whereas Evolv's system is kind of closed off on its own. It's very hard to integrate into a variety of other systems like Patriot One's system can be. So My opinion, that's why I think Patriot One is a better buy and why I think Patriot One has a better product. If you have any questions, comments, things like that, definitely leave them down in the comments below. I will have a link also to this slideshow in the comments below, so if you want to check that out, if you just want to kind of take a look over the slides, compare your notes with those, you can do that. That will be linked in the description below. Anyways, I hope you guys found this helpful, and again, any questions you have, comments, leave them down in the comments below. Other than that, I will see you guys next time, and have a great day.